Hello again, everyone. Byron here. I wanted to take some time and just draw something with you guys to maybe start to put things all together. So I'm going way back to my childhood here, and I hope you'll forgive me for looking to childhood. Since we're thinking about drawing children's book material, I instantly thought of Ed Emberley's stuff. Ed Emberley puts out these books, for drawing with basic, simple shapes. And I thought for an introduction to drawing with shapes in Illustrator, a lot of his stuff is just right. And so I found this little silly fox that he shows you how to draw in one of his books, and I thought, hey, I'll show them how to take simple shapes just like Ed Emberley and use Illustrator to draw them. Well, Ed's step by step is pretty simple, pretty straightforward, right? You can see, kind of shows you the basic shapes underneath, and then how you put them, kind of organize them. So I thought that fox would be a good one to start with, and so he'll kind of be the centerpiece for what we draw today. So it's an homage to Ed Emberley. So this is what we're going to draw, and I've got this file that kind of shows you my version, the step-by-step, with a little bit of an explanation. There's this long document on the left-hand side, and what I've got here on the right-hand side is what we're going to produce today. So let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to just select Mr. Fox here and delete him. Don't worry, we'll draw him again. So if you look at my handout over here on the right-hand side, it might be a good idea if you wanted to try to draw this on your own and you wanted to look at the instructions as you do it. Like if you open that file up and then open up, a new document, something maybe in the neighborhood of, 4 inches by 5 inches or 4 by 6, something like that. And then you tile both of them, right? If you go to the window menu, choose arrange. You should be able to tile it right under the arrange submenu right there. So if you've got two files in tabs, you can tile them so you can see them both simultaneously, which is what I've done here. All right, so I'm going to zoom in here a little bit so you can see those instructions a little better. So you can, again, follow along on your own. I'm going to hit the L key on the keyboard to get the ellipse tool because we're drawing a circle. And the instructions say, 1.5 inch circle. And let me see if I've got some guides here. Remember, you can drag guides in from the ruler, right? Or you can even, like if you go to the ruler and you find just the right spot, you can double click and it'll add a line right at that spot. So with the ellipse tool, I'm going to draw my 1.5 inch circle. And you can see like the last thing I drew had that orange fill. So I'm going to hit the D key on the keyboard to give it a default fill, which is a white fill with a black stroke. Okay. And if you're not quite sure if you've got it the right size, remember in the properties panel, you can check to make sure you've got the correct dimensions there. Clean that up a bit. Okay, so and by the way, if you hit Command and the semicolon key, you can hide those guides if they're in your way, if you don't want to look at them. Okay, so let's revisit editing. I mean, there's more than one way to do all of this stuff, folks, but I'm going to turn my circle into a half circle real quick by just getting the direct select tool, right? A is the shortcut to get the direct select tool. And if you click right on the anchor point that you want to delete and select it, you can then hit the delete key or the backspace key on the keyboard and it goes away. All right, so to join these 2 points, I'm going to click and drag a selection window over those 2 anchor points, and I'm going to join them together, right? So again, the shortcut to join 2 anchor points is Command or Control J on the keyboard. I've just, I basically opened that shape up and then closed it. Okay, easy peasy. All right, so now I'm going to get the polygon tool because I want to draw a triangle. And depending on, how many sides the last polygon you drew has, that's what it's going to draw with this time, which happens to be a triangle. But remember, as you're drawing it, I haven't let go of the mouse button yet. If you can hit the arrow up or down key on the keyboard as you're drawing it, you can change the number of sides. You can change it after the fact too, but I find it's just easier to change it to the number of sides as I'm drawing it. So, and here's another handy tip, folks. If you hold the space bar down, you can reposition. So again, I've not let go of the mouse button yet. That's important because once you let go of the mouse button, that's it. Now remember, I'm letting go of the space bar now, and I can then let go of the mouse button, or whatever it is you may be using a stylus, you may be using a touchpad, whatever it is. Like, don't let go until you've got it in place and it has the right number of sides. Okay, so I'm going to command click off of that. So what I want to do is, if you see in the instructions, I want to make a copy of this because I need a second triangle, one for the inside of the ear, one for the outside of the ear. So what I'm going to do is select that shape again. I'm going to hit Command C to copy it, Command F to paste it right in front of the original. Now, I don't see a change, but believe me, there's a second one there now. All right, so now what I can do is get the direct select tool again. I'm going to click off to deselect it. Now I'm going to click just on this one anchor point and move it into position like so. All right, so now you see I did have a second triangle and I've changed it. Okay, so here we go. If you, while you're at it, let's just, select that new smaller triangle and give it a fill. I'm going to click on the fill in the appearance area of the properties panel. I'm going to give it that orange fill. Okay. There you go. So we're on our way. What I'm going to do now is select both of these triangles, and I'm going to duplicate it on the other side of the head, right? And I'm going to do that by reflecting it, right? It's an equal and opposite version. And so if you remember, the shortcut to reflect is O. I don't know why, but it is O. All right, now normally the center of rotation or reflection or scale, it's on a little, let me zoom in a little bit here. It's on this, see this little doohickey here? That's your center of rotation. And like you can click on that and move it wherever you want. What I'm going to do is reposition here. Remember, the space bar lets you click with the hand, like gives you the hand tool, and you can click and drag to move yourself around. So what I'm going to do with both of those selected instead is hold down the Option or Alt key on the keyboard. And so again, you have to have the reflect tool first. So O is the shortcut for that. Now Option or Alt, click, say, the center of this half circle. So I can find that anchor point, and in my case, I'm using a map scale, so I'm Option clicking that point because I know it's the center of the head of the fox, right? And so here, it's reflecting it along a vertical axis, right, to the other side of the head. And I'm going to hit the copy button, right? So you can just reflect it by clicking OK, and it just moves it over there. Or you can make a copy. So it leaves the original and adds the second one. All right. And so as long as you remember, when you have that tool, whether it's the reflect tool or rotate tool, scale tool, wherever you Option Alt click, that will be the point from which it uses as a reference to make that transformation. Okay, so let's draw the nose, shall we? So now I'm going to get the rectangle tool. Shortcut is M for the rectangle tool. And I'm going to draw this thing about, I don't know, like, I think in the instructions it says like the width should be 0.175 and the height should be 0.75. Something like that. Okay. And again, if it's not perfect, I can come over here and make it perfect. All right. Okay, and once again, the last object that I drew had an orange fill, so it draws this one with an orange fill. And if I want to go back to default colors, I just hit the D key on the keyboard. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that this nose is centered, right? So if I, like say if I drew it way over here, really messed it up, I'm going to select both of these shapes, like the head and the nose, and come over here to the align options. And like if you just click, it's like horizontal align centers, it's going to move both of them. But the head is already in the place where I want it. So what I'm going to do instead, if you go to the options for the align settings, down here you can choose align to, and I can say, in this case, I want to align it to a key object, right? So if I now, with that group selected, click on the head, see they're both still selected, but I've clicked on the head and you get this darker blue outline. That means that's going to be the key object. So now if I click to align them on the center, it's going to move the nose to the head, right? Makes sense? So, aligning by key object can be really helpful. Okay, so I've got the nose, I've got the head. Now, if I select two things, the Pathfinder should show up here in the properties. I can just click on the Unite Pathfinder. Voila. They are united. Okay, so far so good. I'm going to reposition a bit here. And I'm going to draw the cheeks now. And I'm going to do that with an ellipse. So if I bring my cursor right here to where the nose meets the head, and I hold Shift down, because Shift will make my ellipse tool create a perfect circle. So I'm going to line that up so that, basically the side of the head and the nose are about right. It's not absolutely perfect, but I think it'll be close enough. So once again, I'm going to get the direct selection tool, right, the white arrow, and I'm going to click on a couple of anchor points. that I want to get rid of. So I want to get rid of the one at the bottom, and you got to click off and then back on to just get the one that you want. And now I'm going to delete the one on the right side here, and I'll be left with just that one last segment, which connects this side of the head to the nose. All right, so now I need another one of these over here on the other side, right? So with that line segment selected, I'm going to reflect it to the other side. All right, so again, the shortcut for the reflect tool is O. If I now Option or Alt click the center of the head anywhere, right? Like, and if I need to, I'll come up here because I know there's an anchor point up here. If I Option click that spot as the center of the reflection, it'll reflect it again on the vertical axis to the other side. All right, and I'm going to hit copy. Make sense? All right, once again, let's get the direct select tool. I'm going to click on the first anchor point at the bottom of the nose, bottom of the cheek here, and do the same thing for the other anchor point at the bottom of that side. And how do you join them? Command J. All right, now likewise up here, I'm going to click on the top point of both of those, shift click to select both, Command J. All right. Now, if I wanted to, I could connect that to the top of the head, right? But I think I might want the option of changing the color of the stroke. So I'm going to leave them separate. In fact, while this one is, while this thing is selected, I might as well go ahead and change the color of the stroke to that orange that I've been using. And again, while I'm at it, I'm going to increase the weight of the stroke a little bit. And I'm going to click on my stroke options and change the align stroke to the center of the path to the inside of the path. See that you can go outside of the path, inside, or centered. I'm going to move it to the inside. Why not? Okay. All right. So now it's still in front of the nose though, so I need to move it back in the layer order. The shortcut to change the layer order is Command or Control and the bracket keys. In this case, I want to send it backwards, so I'm going to hit the left bracket key, and it moves it one level backwards. See that? And if I need to, I could maybe reposition that a bit. I might rethink whether or not I want that on the inside, or the stroke, do I want it to be on the inside? Do I want it to be on the outside? I can make that call as I'm working. So, okay, now let's go ahead and fill the head with our orange. Now it's starting to take shape. All right, so now let's move on here. Let's move up a little bit here. We're going to start drawing eyeballs next, right? So let's put an eyeball here. Again, L for the ellipse tool. Hold the shift key down to make it a perfect circle. If you need to, hold the space bar down to reposition as you're drawing. Okay. And I'm going to hit the D key to give that a white fill. And just like with the ear, I'm going to duplicate the eye because I want an eyelid. All right, so Command C to copy, Command F to paste it right over the top of the original. Once again, with the direct select tool, I'm going to click on just the anchor point that I want to delete. That's done. And now I'm going to click on one of the bottom 2 points that remain and shift click the other one and hit Command J to complete, to reconnect them. All right, so let's rotate this. again, let me zoom in so you can see a little better. I'm going to rotate this around the center of the eyeball. So if I hit the R key to get the rotate tool, you'll see that that center of rotation should be about right in the middle. So if I now click and drag, it should rotate. And you know what? I didn't have the top anchor point selected. And that's why it put the center of rotation right here in the middle. But it warped it. So what I need to do is make sure that I've got the right tool. So I've got the regular selection tool. I've selected it now. When I hit the R key on the keyboard, now you're going to see the center of rotation is in the middle of the shape. So I have to click on that and move it down here to the middle before I start rotating. See that? We need a slanted eyelid so he looks kind of sad. That's important. So there we have it. Cool. All right. So one more part for the iris here. Oops. There we go. And we need a black fill this time. And we need to move it behind the eyelid. So Command and the left bracket will move it down in the layer order until it's behind the eyelid. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to select, oops, all of these parts for the eye. And let's go ahead and group it. Command G to group it. And I think I'm going to make it a little bit larger. I think his eyes need to be a little bigger. All right, so now I'm going to, just like before, I'm going to reflect this to the other side. So hit the O key on the keyboard. I need to find the center of the head. So Option or Alt, click that center point. It's going to reflect over there. Make a copy of it. All right, it's, you know, it's kind of up to you. I think he kind of looks cute this way with the two, you know, like he's got a lazy eye. But like if you wanted to, you could double click that group to enter isolation mode, then click on that iris, and I'm going to like just hit the arrow key to move it over. So if you needed it to be like that, you could. I personally, I like it the other way, so I want to put it back. Oops. There we go. All right, so we got eyeballs. Cool. So I'm going to pause the video there. Well, heck, before I pause it, let's put his nose on. Remember, hold the Shift key down, give yourself a perfect circle, hold the space bar to move it in place. Okay, and Command or Control and the bracket key to move it behind the other shapes. Okay, so let's pause there. When you come back for part 2, we'll turn our attention to drawing the rest of his body. All right, there you go.